It was during this time in the mid 1960s that Warhol adopted the band The Velvet Underground, making them a crucial element of his exploding, plastic, inevitable multimedia performance art show, along with Paul Morrissey acting as the band's manager. So Andy Warhol would dress the band up in all black and have them perform in front of movies he was showing, kind of projected movies onto them while they were performing. So it was a pure kind of interactive art piece, live music, films he had made projected onto it, obviously all happening live. In 1966, he produced their first album, The Velvet Underground and Nico, as well as providing its album art. Um, and really, all that means by he produced is he actually just helped pay funded the actual recording of the studio time for the band. After the band's first album, Andy Warhol and the band leader Lou Reed started to disagree more about the direction the band would take, and their artistic friendship ended. I mean, Lou Reed wanted to be a band. He's like, we're not a show. We're not like, part of your art. We're a band. We're our own art. We're our own band, and obviously they left. Warhol designed many album covers for various bands, including the most famous one, which is the album cover for the Rolling Stones album Sticky Fingers in 1971. The Velvet Underground banana, obviously he designed that. And then other than that, this is probably the most other famous album cover that Andy Warhol designed. If you haven't seen the Sticky Fingers album cover, it literally is a zipper on an album cover that actually works. Pretty brilliant and revolutionary at the time to actually physically have in a thing you can actually interact with on an album cover. Another album cover personally that I love that he's done, one of my favorite bands ever, is the Smiths, and the very first Smiths album cover, Warhol designed that too. I think it was based on it's based on, I think, maybe a film, maybe a still from one of his films, and that's the album cover. I forget exactly the story, but he definitely designed that album cover, which I love. So it's, I always thought that was kind of cool that he was something that I was into. Warhol strongly influenced the new wave punk band Devo, as well as David Bowie. Bowie actually recorded a song called Andy Warhol for his 1971 album Hunky Dory. Lou Reed later in his career wrote the song Andy's Chest about that actual shooting of Valerie Solanas, the woman who shot him in '68. He recorded it with Velvet Underground, and his version was released on the Velvet Underground album VU in 1985. Bowie would later play Warhol in the movie Basquiat, and Bowie actually talked about the role of Andy and how he was able when he was shooting the film, he actually managed to get David Bowie an actual wardrobe that Warhol wore from I guess the Warhol Museum or whatever. And Bowie said this about that: "We borrowed his clothes from the museum in Pittsburgh, and they were intact, unwashed. Even the pockets weren't emptied. They contained his pancake, a kind of powdered cloth that Andy always smeared his face with makeup, and always wore those silver wigs, but he never admitted they were wigs. One of his hairdressers actually told him that the wigs were often cut as if they were real hair. So when the wig was being trimmed, he put on another wig to make it seem as if his hair had grown out, and then he would swap the wigs out and cut them. And so, yeah, he actually acted as if they were actual hair. Needless to say, Andy Warhol was one of a kind in every way.